obviously, another story I wanted to talk to you about involving Sarah Everard's murder and the investigation there. But I do want to get your thoughts as a former senior police officer in terms of where we are in terms of these lockdown parties. Repeatedly, evidence has been brought forward. We've had a photograph of a party 5 days before this one in May 2020 of a wine and cheese party that the Downing Street staff all had together in the sunshine. We've got pictures of Zoom parties and that weren't all on Zoom, and other parties are taking place in Number 10 or Tory Central Office in December 2020 as well. Both times when we had either lockdown or Tier 3 or Tier 4 restrictions, definitely against the law for anyone else. We've had 20,000 people or so prosecuted for breaching lockdown, and yet only now the Metropolitan Police are saying they'll be looking into this, now that it seems the evidentiary threshold may have finally been passed. Why do you think the Met has taken so long to get involved?
I think there has been a bit of a kind of battening down the hatches and closing down those avenues of investigation. But I do feel there's a bigger issue now. This is about confidence in policing. And if police aren't seen to be acting on this matter, then there is a huge failing there. And Sue Gray is the lady who's leading that internal investigation in relation to these parties that have happened, because I think Mr. Case was the guy who was taken off because he was at one of those parties. Yeah. So it's two different people. And I do feel that now there is a huge lack of confidence in policing by not acting. And even this morning, it was police officers are in contact with Downing Street. Yeah. Now, what I would say to everybody who's listening is that back in May 2020, students were being fined, members of the public were being fined. We weren't letting universities investigate their own students. Police officers were then issuing fines. And I'm absolutely amazed that that hasn't already happened, that this investigation hasn't already started and fines haven't been issued.
I have to say, I think most of us, most of my listeners listening right now, feel exactly the same way. We've got a huge amount of evidence. At one point, we were told by the Met Chief that we don't investigate retrospective. I think Dominic Raab said on behalf of the Met Police, I believe they don't investigate retrospective crimes. Do you think, well, what other kind are there? Unless we're in Minority Report, the dystopian futuristic movie, that we just investigate future crimes. I mean, that's literally what the Met does. And there's been documents showing that investigations can go back 3 years if they're egregious breaches. And this is the crucial thing. If someone went to the police right now and said, I think my neighbour had a party back in May 2020, I think the police would probably say, we've moved on from that. But it does make a difference when it's the people who make the laws, who decide the rules that control other people's lives. When they breach those rules, that takes on a very different sort of hue, doesn't it?
Part of the police oath is to investigate and uphold the peace and enforce the laws of this country without fear or favour. Yeah. So, if police officers are seen to be in favour of certain groups of the communities, then how is that adhering to the oath that all police officers take? It doesn't. So there has to be a bigger picture. It has to be, everyone has to adhere to the same laws. No one in this country is above that law. And if that means that an investigation has to start and has to be shown to be fair and impartial, then that's what we need to do to restore that confidence in policing, because this isn't just about this one issue. There are lots of failings in policing at the moment, and this is one of them which has to be addressed.